All right. First of all, credit to Louisiana. We knew all week they'd be a big, good physical football team, and they ran the ball really well. They've got a big old line. They've got good backs. And they took advantage of our mistakes. So, again, we had a couple of coverage busts, again, that cost us probably 2 touchdowns. We had a chance to take the lead, and we threw a pick in the fourth quarter. And we just didn't play well enough across the board. We got off to a slow start on offense, and defensively they just had us on our heels the whole game. So we're, again, proud of the effort, but we're just, we're struggling right now. And, like I told the team, when you're in this position, all you can do is go back to work. So with that, any questions? I mean, you can only be so simple, Cam. I mean, when you're simple, then they've got all your cover 3 beaters and the guy's wide open. And, like we were simple and they were just, throwing all the cover 3 beaters. And then we played man. And then anytime we tried to call something to stop them, we bust. And, it's really challenging. We're breaking in a whole new secondary, and most of those guys just got here in the summer, and there's no easy answer. We've always been a team that thrives when we're experienced, and we have guys that have played together for a lot of years, and they're giving effort, they're trying, they're playing this level of football for the first time ever. And sometimes the game goes too fast for them, and there's nobody else to put in. So we just got to get them better. That's where we are personnel-wise back there right now.
In real time, how did you process the Cart having to come out with Devon, him running out before halftime, and then spraying 60 yards into the end zone 30 minutes later?
Well, I mean, it's his kneecap kind of got tweaked, and we were really worried. And then they were able to adjust it, and then at halftime he felt good, and then. Damon's Damon. He's fast and he makes plays. Then in the third quarter, fourth quarter, it got sore and painful, and he couldn't go anymore. And then obviously, it had been great to have Donnie. So Donnie he played a little bit and didn't feel well, so he didn't play the rest of the game either. And then Capone was out. He was out then, and. We're really, we're challenging the secondary to begin with, and then when we get thin back there, it becomes even more challenging.
Dave, in terms of the secondary, you've probably known for a few months that you were going to be challenged back there when you lost someone to the portal, in the summer. But you probably expected maybe a little bit more production from your defensive line. They didn't get any sacks. It didn't feel like they really hurried the quarterback. What was going on there?
No, I mean it's hard to say. It's one position. I mean we didn't get a lot of pressure. There's times that when we did get pressure, we didn't keep a cage on the quarterback. I mean, how many times did he scramble? 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 11 for a first down, and our guys are trying to get off, and then you don't have your pass rush lanes, and that becomes a real problem there. So. Again, it's, the secondary is always going to be the one that it's most noticeable, because when they screw up, it's touchdowns. But we didn't play well at linebacker in the first half. We misfit some runs. We missed tackles. We were in man coverage, and they ran the bootleg, and we didn't see the tight end come back across the formation. I mean, we really, they just had us on our heels the whole game, and I have a hard time saying right now that anybody on defense played well. So, but when you don't get a good pass rush, then routes can develop, and they have good receivers and they have a good quarterback.
You've told us often in the past that when you're having results like this, it's either what you're doing or who you're doing it with. Which one of those are you kind of seeing that, and what kind of conversations are you having with defensive coordinator Brad Lambert at this point?
Well, I mean, he's frustrated, but it's so limited what we can do because of where we are back there. I mean, it was my biggest concern in the spring. It was my biggest concern in camp, and it's just a little bit of the reality of where we are. Like I said, we're hoping we could keep one of Malik or Kalen, and then losing, Deshaun was a huge blow, and that's an expensive problem to fix, and when you don't have much money, it's hard to fix it. It's really hard. So, I mean, there's some players in the portal that we really wanted and we really went after, and we just, we didn't have enough money in the collective to be competitive for them.
You told us over the last couple of weeks that Jamari Glasker's really turned into a really good player. Is it just me, or did they not really target him and really pick on him much?
No, Jamari's becoming, he's becoming a solid ACC corner. And, Capone just has to trust himself more. I mean, there was no reason to grab that guy in that one pass interference. He was in great shape, and again, I think eventually C.D. Kelly will help us. I think Zamari eventually will help us, but right now the game moves really fast for those guys. And C.D.'s played a lot of football, just not at this level, and Zamari's playing for the first time. And, again, I don't want to pile on. When those guys make mistakes, the results are fatal. We had D linemen make mistakes. We had linebackers make mistakes. That's just the nature of football. When those guys make mistakes, it's 5 and 10 and 15-yard plays. When the secondary makes mistakes, it's 20, and 80-yard touchdowns.
It did produce points, and I know you might not want to talk about anything positive right now, but you have to be happy with that, 1-minute drill engineered by Hank Bachmeyer to get you out of position to tie it up at the end.
Yeah, that's one of in recent memory, that's one of the few 2-minute drills we've had that I thought was successful. And, we got ourselves to where we wanted to, and we had a chance to get in field goal range, and, Matt just, if it's an inch to the right, we're going to overtime. So, I'm not going to say that it's never one play that costs you the game, and all that would do is get you to overtime. No guarantee you're going to win it. No, Caleb Carlson had a really good spring and competed for the job. Those two were, Caleb kicked the ball really well. So, no, and Matthew Dennis, I think that's the first kick he's missed all year. So, it's, he had a really good spring. He had a really good camp, and so far he's had a really good season. I'm not going to let one kick change how we feel about him. And again, this game, to say it came down to that one player, that one kick would be that wouldn't be accurate, and that's not fair to him.
Yeah, no, obviously, if they've done the other stat, I think Devon maybe dropped what probably should have pick six. Ratio, the ball flying off his hands for an interception. These are kind of things that feels like they keep happening over the last few years.
Yeah, and again, all those guys are playing for the first time. This is the first time Horatio's playing. Devon Patterson redshirted last year. These guys are playing for the first time, and that's it's just our challenge, right, in this new era. That this is we were an old football team for 7 years, and there's a lot of guys we would love to still have on our football team right now that aren't there. And so we're bringing in guys in the summer to play for us, and we've got freshmen out there playing, and that's never been how we've built the program at Wake Forest. And, I have no problem using the portal. I have no problem getting guys from the portal. Hank Bachmeyer and Jacob Roberts, just to fix problems, you need a lot of money. And, we recruited what we could afford. And again, I think those guys will get better, and they'll continue to grow. And again, I think they have ability, but it's a little bit of baptism by fire right now. Yeah, he has some stitches that hopefully they'll heal up, and he'll be available next week. I mean, Josh, right now I'm concerned about everything. I mean, we're 1-3. I think this is the worst start we've been off to here in my 11 years. We're a struggling football team right now. We're clearly not where we've been 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and we just have to keep these guys together and make sure they keep improving and keep working and stick together. And that's always the challenge when you get off to a bad start, right? The only way to make it better is to go back to work and fix the mistakes and have guys buy in. And there's no magic formula to do that. So, Josh, again, I appreciate your big picture questions. I mean, I hope you can understand right now that I'm up here and I'm in pain, and that locker room's in pain, and NC State is the furthest thing from my mind right now. It's getting our guys together Monday and trying to lift their spirits and get them looking forward. That's my job, and for me to do that for them, I've got to do it for myself. But these losses, they gut you. They absolutely gut you, and I don't. They're hard. So I'm disappointed that our program right now isn't in a better spot, and I don't think it's a lack of work or a lack of work ethic by our coaches or our players. We're just, we're not where we've been just a couple of years ago, and it's a very it's certainly challenging, but we're going to keep working, and that's all we can do.
Dave, in light of your last answer, I'm not quite sure how to ask this, but I have to ask it. You've been very open about how hard you work to keep your roster together, keep the players here. 4 games in, based on all the news of the last week, are you worried about losing anybody? Are you having to work right now to keep your roster together?
I'm not going to work at that, Tony. I mean, if a guy after 4 games wants to quit, he's going to quit. Right? I mean, those guys have to make individual decisions, and you start going through the roster and you say, okay, who are the guys that could potentially do that? Now, I mean, one thing here is, I mean, we've never overpromised and underdelivered. So I don't think there's one player on our roster that would ever say, I was told I was going to get A, B, and C, that we didn't deliver A, B, and C. We've been cautious, and we don't make commitments we know we can't honor. And I would hope our players would honor their commitment. But if somebody decides to do that, that is their choice. And, if the point they come to you with it, the decision's already done. So I would hope nobody does it, but who knows? All right, thanks.